Cultures and nations have died before, and it's kind of sad reading of the last few decades when the light is finally snuffed out. For example, reading about Emperor Julian and the death of pagan Rome, that is, idol worshipping Rome, or the massacre of Zoroastrian Persia, and so many others throughout history. The indigenous Indian culture, the dharmic culture, also faced grave peril once. This was perhaps our worst phase ever in human history in the late 17th century. And then one man stood up to fight, and he ensured that we are still here. This episode is about this man. This episode is about Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj. We should know more about him. One of the architects of modern India whose story is not just history but a timeless inspiration. Shivaji Maharaj is often wrongly viewed as just a local king from the region that is today's Maharashtra. Sadly, some historians, including even Indian historians, the establishment Indian historians, they have insulted him with the term mountain rat. But let me correct that very clearly biased narrative with a bit of context. According to the academic work Shivaji, His Life and Times by G.B. Mehendale, Shivaji's influence extends well beyond the boundaries of Maharashtra. His idea of Hindavi Swarajya wasn't just about regional autonomy, it was a blueprint for self-rule by indigenous people across India. That is, people like you and me having the right to govern ourselves without foreign control. His policies were an initiative to revive India's indigenous culture that had almost been wiped out in the public space by foreign invasions over centuries. Now, here's a lesser known fact. Shivaji referred to his enemies such as the fanatical Mughal Aurangzeb not by religion but by the term Turushka, a Sanskrit word meaning Turk, showcasing that his fight was actually against foreign dominance. Now, some people will say that Aurangzeb was born in India. How can we call him a foreigner? Well, you have to call people what they identify themselves as. There was a British viceroy during the British Raj called Victor Lytton, who was born in India but he identified as British, so we call him British. Aurangzeb also identified himself as Timurid, not as Mughal. We call them Mughal. Aurangzeb identified himself and his family as Timurid, the descendant of Temur, the Turk. So since he called himself a Turk, well, that's what we should call him too, right? Anyway, Shivaji's fight wasn't just against the foreigners in his own native area. He also inspired Indians across the land to join the battle. Among those inspired was the great Raja Chhatrasal Bundela. His region of Bundelkhand was under Mughal control. Drawn to Shivaji's mission to establish self-rule and resist Mughal oppression, Chhatrasal led a successful rebellion in Bundelkhand, establishing his own kingdom and becoming a key figure in the resistance against Mughal dominance. But a great leader doesn't just fight foreign oppressors. He looks fearlessly within as well and reforms what needs reforming within a society. And reforming a society is no less heroic than storming a fort. Some historians say that Shivaji was, in all likelihood, the first among the post-medieval rulers to outright ban slavery. Yes, a good 200 years before Abraham Lincoln, who was himself a great man, no doubt. But if Abraham Lincoln is the great emancipator, then Shivaji Maharaj is the breaker of chains. And he did this when his strongest enemies, the Mughals and the Portuguese, were making huge profits out of slavery, which gave them money to fund their wars on Shivaji. And yet, Shivaji banned slavery in the lands under his control. He also enforced his views on his enemies in the wars that he fought. For example, in a treaty with the Dutch at Ginji in 1677, he prohibited the purchase of anyone from his territory as a slave. The Chhatrapati was a fierce warrior, but a warrior with morals, a dharmic warrior. Shivaji Maharaj was well known for his deep respect towards women as well, ensuring their safety and dignity even during conflicts. Historical accounts like that of Hafiz Khan highlight that his soldiers were under strict orders not to harm or dishonor women, regardless of their background or allegiance, even if they were from the enemy camp. Shivaji's respect towards women extended, like I said, to the enemy camps as well, where captured women were treated with dignity, something that his opponents, frankly, did not do. Furthermore, during the visit of Dutch convoys to his southern military camp, they noted an absence of women, who were often seen in war camps in that period as sadly either prisoners being abused or prostitutes. Shivaji never allowed such practices in his own war camp, something that even those on the side of his enemies, like Hafiz Khan, acknowledged and respected. In addition to his respect for women, Shivaji was known for the humane treatment of enemy prisoners of war. He ensured that they were treated with dignity and fairness, setting a high standard of ethics during warfare. A good leader is admired by his followers, but a great man is respected by even his enemies. His agricultural taxation policies were also forward-thinking, giving concessions to farmers during tough times to prevent famines. In contrast, the Mughals and later the British refused to show such compassion and kindness, leading to massive famines like the Deccan famine under Shah Jahan while he was building the Taj Mahal, by the way. So the Deccan famine under Shah Jahan and the Great Bengal famine during British rule. When it comes to military genius, Shivaji Maharaj was like the Steve Jobs of the 17th century. Seriously, an innovator through and through. His mastery of guerrilla warfare turned highly unlikely victories into routine successes. One notable tactic was using the element of surprise attacks and speed, famously demonstrated in the Battle of Pratapgarh, where his forces defeated the much larger army of Afzal Khan. And after that, they quickly captured all forts over a distance from Pratapgarh to Panhala near Kolhapur in just 18 days. A point to note here. Before the battle, Afzal Khan invited Shivaji for a meeting, supposedly to negotiate peace. However, Afzal Khan, much larger in stature, much bigger, much taller, planned to kill Shivaji during that meeting. Shivaji was aware of Afzal Khan's intentions and he went prepared. He wore armor beneath his clothes and carried a small weapon called Vagnak, tiger claws, hidden in his hand. When Afzal Khan attempted to strangle Shivaji, Shivaji swiftly used the Vagnak to disembowel him. Afzal Khan's bodyguards attacked, but Shivaji's forces, hidden nearby, quickly overpowered them. The encounter ended with Shivaji's victory and Afzal Khan's death. And Afzal Khan's death became a significant turning point in Shivaji's rise. Shivaji was dharmic and honorable, but at the same time, perhaps, he also followed Vidurniti, Shate Shatyam Samacharet. The wicked must be treated with wickedness. That was perhaps Shivaji's philosophy. The capture of Sinhgarh by his lieutenant Tanaji by a sudden night attack killing the Mughal governor Uday Bhan was another brilliantly executed battle. A fantastic movie has also been made on this. Ajay Devgan stars in it, of course, which I'm sure most of you would have seen. Those of you who haven't seen it, go see it. Fantastic movie. Shivaji Maharaj didn't just stop at land battles. He also focused on naval strength, building one of the first modern Indian navies to challenge European powers at sea at that time. He built sea forts as well. By the way, the modern Indian Navy insignia is actually based on Chhatrapati Shivaji's naval banner, and he is honored as the father of the Indian Navy. As the Ajna Patra, formal documentation of Shivaji Maharaj's ideals, principles and policies of state administration, says, like the cavalry rules the earth, the one with an armada rules the oceans. Talk about being ahead of your time. His brilliance extended beyond the battlefield to civil administration as well. He structured his government through the Ashtapradhan, a council of 8 ministers, each responsible for different aspects of administration, bringing efficiency and accountability. Moreover, Shivaji's inclusiveness in governance was noteworthy. His army and administration included people from diverse backgrounds. His army had the 18 Pagad Jati or 18 castes of Maharashtra, reflecting his vision of unity and collective strength. When he was setting up his navy, he hired Muslim expert sailors and naval warriors as well. He was clearly a proud and devout Hindu. But Shivaji Maharaj understood that unity among Indians was crucial to resisting foreign rule. Beyond his battles and governance, Shivaji Maharaj was a champion of cultural revival. He took significant steps to purify the Marathi language and culture from foreign influences, revived ancient traditions, and restored temples. He created a Rajya Vyavhar Kosh to remove Persian words that had crept into Marathi. His Ashtapradhan had Sanskrit names. The Peshwa was named Pradhan. The Dabir, the foreign minister, was called Sumant, and so on. His Rajya Abhishek or coronation followed ancient Indian dharmic rituals and was the first such grand affair conducted in over a century. In doing so, he reignited the spark of Indian sovereignty, casting away the dark fogs of foreign rule that had overshadowed these traditions. A Pandit came all the way from Varanasi to Raigad in modern Maharashtra for this ritual. You know, my father's family is from Varanasi, and practically all of us in Varanasi or Kashi are honored that it was one of us who came here for the Rajya Abhishek of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj. Incidentally, this year, 2024, marks the 351st anniversary of his coronation. Chhatrapati Shivaji's efforts reconnected Indian communities with a shared identity which had weakened due to foreign invasions. Shivaji's personal life was equally inspiring. Raised by his mother Jijabai, while his father Shahji served the Bijapur Sultan, Shivaji was deeply influenced by her teachings. It was Jijabai's guidance that shaped Shivaji into a leader who looked beyond personal revenge or gains. Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj was not just a warrior, but a beacon of a new dawn for India. His ideals created the foundation of what could be termed as modern India, an India where ancient traditions harmoniously blend with modern governance and lifestyles. So, the next time someone calls him just a local king from Maharashtra, go ahead and correct them. Correct them and say that Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj was an Indian king who was born in the region of Maharashtra. In fact, he was among the greatest of the post-medieval Indian kings, one who built many of the foundations of the modern Indian nation. And now, if you guys have any views or insights on how Shivaji contributed to the building of the Indian nation, go ahead and comment below. Jai Bhavani, Jai Shivaji. So this was the Immortal India podcast with me, Amish. If you enjoyed this episode, like and share it, please. And if you want to receive the notification for the next episode, click subscribe, please. Thank you.
This podcast is supported by the Dilip Piramal Foundation. The Dilip Piramal Foundation is an initiative by renowned industrialist Dilip Piramal to support dharmic causes across India and the world. In this aim, the foundation has supported art galleries, documentaries, dharamshalas, education, and many other such initiatives.